Okay, you're live.
All right, everyone. Thank you today for attending our September Tourism Tuesday Board meeting. Representing the board, we have Jeff joining us virtually, and in the call here we have myself, Richard, Lawrence, Kevin, and Nick. And then joining us for the city is Travis and Alana, and Tara's running our plans. Did everybody have an opportunity to review the minutes from the August 19th minutes or meeting, and any questions, concerns, omissions? No. I will ask for a mover then to approve the minutes. Nick and a seconder. And all in favor? All right. Any declaration of pecuniary interest today? Nothing standing. Okay. Travis and Alana, I will turn it over to you for a tourism overview and update, please.
I'll start. I mean,
we're so excited.
There's a number of great things going on. Smaller things that are listed within the dashboard report. I guess some of the more pertinent things, we just had a meeting this morning. It's referenced in here with Sioux Finish North Ski Club. They've been awarded an OCUP for January 16th, I think.
16th, 18th?
Yeah. So they're expecting close to 400 athletes, plus parents, spectators, etc. That'll be a really good event for that time of year for us, and kind of working with them on a longer term plan. It was great to hear kind of the transition of how this conversation went from early days when we were working with them, where they weren't really keen on hosting events, to now a commitment that they want to host one major event a year. So this is what they're going for this year, and then hopefully next year they're looking at a potentially an even larger event. So we were just having a scoping meeting with them about what kind of physical infrastructure could we perhaps support through the TDF, with hopefully the thought that we land these other events next year, and hopefully the Winter Olympics or Winter Games in 2028. So just kind of scoping that TDF application of something will be coming back to the board shortly. Hopefully next meeting. We're just wrapping up the bids for the National Mountain Bike Marathon Series. That's due October 1st, so that's coming along pretty well. We had the Ontario Baseball Junior Baseball Championships, the Labor Day weekend, that actually went quite well. We had some safety aspects that we'll talk about later, but overall I think we were quite happy with the event. I had a stellar opening pitch for all.
Right down the mountain.
Yeah.
Right down the line.
And overhand.
Is it online?
Have you seen it? Yeah,
It is on video, yes.
Okay.
It
next
exists.
to Mariah Carey's throat. So, yeah.
We can have that for the next meeting.
Yeah.
And
But
just with that, we've been awarded a couple more years of tournament for with Sioux Minor baseball, so that's good.
it's huge. And then I'll talk about the waterfront plan.
Perfect. I'll just add to your update. We did a check-in with the train just to see where their numbers are sitting for this year. We're around 1,500 to 1,800 tickets difference over last year, under, but lots happens between now and the end of fall college. So a lot of people will hold off just to see where colors are at. And last minute ticket sales aren't uncommon.
So you're not talking booking pace, you're talking actual sales.
Actual sales. Yeah.
Because I thought you said we were ahead.
We are, well, that's point 2. We are up in group numbers.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
So these are individual tickets. Group numbers are up. Again, group numbers will fluctuate. Hoteliers will know this. Groups book numbers and then they even them out closer to their arrival date. So they may end up dropping. Where right now we're sitting almost 2,000 higher than we were last year for groups. But that's not a true number because they will balance it. They'll
Do they know how to calculate wash? Could the hotelier teach them that? Wouldn't hurt, so then they could oversell.
Yeah.
Not being saucy, like it would actually help.
It would actually help.
For a 7-day still 30 days out most of them.
Yeah.
When are they starting?
The groups,
Or the tours?
Started.
No, they already.
Oh, yeah, they're going.
August, yeah.
yeah,
Good.
oh, yeah. Just on a personal note, we have a camp up in Montreal River, so right as you pass the trestle, you can't keep on going. And up there last weekend and the fall colors they're out. They're further ahead than I thought they were, like compared to the city here. They're not peaking, but they're not far off. So
Search won't get me that far behind either.
yeah, as you get further north, they are like you look out in the trees and the colors are there. So I expect it to be a bit of an early,
Need
but
some
we'll see.
video footage
Yeah,
on like
put it up.
Global News Toronto and those
Yeah.
places
Yeah.
to show.
Yeah. And then the Stone Gardener is almost sold out for the year. There's only a handful of tickets left for it, so that product is definitely taken off. The next update would
Which product? I'm sorry.
the Stone Gardener, so so it's the car that they started to put on last year. It was supposed to be like a
Oh,
luxury upgraded
First
version.
class.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
We're not using that anymore. Elevated,
I used quotes when I said it.
elevated.
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 Yeah.
And then Search Mount they've started their fall color tours. They're $30 and they're up and running with their fall color tours on the list this year. I don't have an update as to how it's going, but I know they started beginning of September.
And
Do they advertise that on the website?
It's on their
They have it on their website. I'm going back and forth with them on further details. On the seating, it asked following last meeting, what their plans were there, whether it was gonna be like aggregate seating that could be used for winter. It's more of a, they've got some manufactured chairs that are going out along the ski lift or the ski run, walk back down. And the marketing plan, so I'm still waiting for further details on that, so I think it'll be conversation for 2026. Once they collect more data and kind of analyze that, which is I think where we all landed. I was hoping to get a little bit more information from them, but hopefully they're going through a bit of a growth experience here. They'll come better prepared for next year.
And then I spoke with the Ministry of Sport reps last week, just checking in on an update on winter games, and there is still no update. So it's not that they have not made the decision. Not that we haven't been informed of anything, it has not been done. So when we know, we will share this.
Bush Plane Days this Saturday.
Yes. Yes.
Lots of advertising for that.
Yeah, you can't miss it.
Are there demonstrations this year? Do we know or not? Or we don't know yet?
I don't know. Possibly, yes.
Yeah,
The
well, I know, yeah,
The problem is they came late and you gotta get transportation approval in order to fly over here. So we're waiting.
we're working on it.
We're waiting on this, but it would be great
Yeah.
to have that.
Side note, not in the formal update, but Killarney Air, the ones that are doing the passenger service, we see them out our window, you probably see them too. They're busy. They're getting a lot of tours up and down, yeah.
I'm waiting for a response. I still haven't heard back yet. So.
Yeah, they've been very busy.
Well, how far are they going up?
So you could buy either a 15 or a 30-minute ride. So
Okay.
15 will kind of do the like circle over the city, and then 30 will bring you north.
They said over Robertson Cliff. They'll
Yeah.
bring you over it.
Yeah, they're out every day.
Wow, that's good. Okay, thank you for that, Travis. There was a P&L that went out with the board's package. Richard, I will turn it over to you for a bit of a financial update.
I did go on the website to find out whether tourism receipts has been posted for our increase, still not there. So still don't know what we're gonna do. Guess the only big expenditure we had was down in general development, we had 185,000, that's all we short of our board. So. And then the advertising was the standard stuff that we've had.
There's no surprises on it, so straightforward.
Um,
The one
What do
week
we-
that I'll add to it,
what do we have in the bank?
I looked this morning, it's 530,000-ish.
Okay.
The 12,366.74 that's sitting in revenue under Ontario Cup Mountain Bike Race. 10,000 of that was transferred back to the Sioux Cycling Club, so we know that's more of an in and an out versus money that will stay there. That's for operations for the mountain bike race. We just did the registration and kind of flowed it through.
Doesn't show under expenses.
It hasn't gone through yet. It will, but this. It'll be processed probably next week. But more so that you know that that money doesn't actually exist in our account. Long term.
You can't accrue that in here as an expense so that it doesn't show extra revenue, or is that too much work?
Probably could be, it'll be out by next month.
And obviously, we're down that low in the bank. We've got lots of receivables for the trail development.
Yeah,
Still got
so
another grant or like going in this week.
This week.
So we can see that there's. The infrastructure Canada one is pending, it's submitted,
Yeah.
you should be getting payment,
Yeah.
and
it's not in yet.
it's not in yet, but. And there's another one, with the city.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, thank you very much, Richard. So item 6 on the agenda is new business, and we'll start off with the City of Sault Ste. Marie agreement for waterfront design, and perhaps you wouldn't mind taking that one away, please?
Yeah. So we'll go back, I think it was a couple meetings ago now. Where we were presented with a proposal by O2, the group that had done the detailed design for the waterfront plan. We're proposing to continue to advance the detailed design for phase 1, which is the Clerk Park, John Roswell Park area, so the playground, the beach and the pool. At that time, at that meeting, a resolution was passed by the board that they would sign the contract with O2, pending the transfer of funds from the city to Tourism Sault Ste. Marie. So I worked with city legal to come up and finance to come up with an agreement that would allow the city to pre-advance funds, which they don't typically do, to Tourism Sault Ste. Marie, so this work can be initiated. So what was sent out yesterday was the draft of that agreement. Just looking for support to sign that so that we can get a cash advance from the city to Tourism Sault Ste. Marie, so that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie can enter into that contract with O2. And just as a reiteration of why we're proposing to do that is when we met with NOHFC, they advised that it probably made more sense for the design work and applications, NOHFC applications, to go through Tourism Sault Ste. Marie, because as an entity, they align best with the tourism and economic development principles of the project. So.
Any questions or concerns regarding the waterfront design? Forward. Okay, item B, Mr.
I guess I do have one question. So they do have, when they're advancing the strict terms on it,
Mhm.
are we roughly the same expenditures on?
I talked to O2 about that and they can match whatever we need.
Okay,
So I, for simplicity, just broke it out by month,
okay.
and then I've advised them to do that. So.
Okay. Item 6B is mischief in crime, community safety and well-being.
Are these confessions?
Yeah. When I was 13.
They both looked at each other at the same time, like,
Well, there's no real formal approach with this. I think it was the intent was just to have a discussion.
okay,
So. obviously, everybody's well aware, I mean, you guys are dealing with it firsthand, in terms of the impact of crime. The smash and grabs, have skyrocketed. We're seeing the impact both in terms of, we're getting outreach, we spoke about the quality and the outreach that they did through us to the police chief. If we were talking to the organizers of, provincial baseballs, we know that they had smash and grab on a number of their athletes and families. So it is kind of front and center in our mind, as a major issue, both, in terms of public safety and what have you, but also reputationally for the city. Happy to hear that the police have set up a meeting to go through these items with you guys, and look very interested and may see if I can join. The background, something else that's kind of going on is, every 5 years, the city is required to do a community safety wellbeing plan. It's actually legislated through the Ontario Policing Act, and should be led by the police, with the municipality overseeing it. So I'm overseeing that work in collaboration with Brent Lemming in this office. We work with TSSM, the police, John Howard Society, working with the school boards, both secondary, post-secondary, to look at kind of what are the root causes for safety related issues within the community. And the last time we did this, it was focused on mental health and addiction and homelessness. So we're looking at kind of just undertaking that process right now. You'll see, I'll distribute it to the group when it comes out, but a broad-based kind of community survey to get everybody's input on where they see the highest risk. And then the process is, we're working with a consulting group called Work Code, which has a lot of expertise in terms of developing community safety wellbeing plans, and then looking at kind of what are some of the mitigative steps that we can do with our youth to try to get them out of these situations before they happen, and then the longer term solutions, both for those that are kind of living through these practices, and potentially also what we need to do, to increase first responder support when we're seeing these actions within the community, as well as kind of the social support that a lot of these individuals need. So just want to give a quick overview on that, because I think it's probably pertinent to keep the board informed of that work that's going on. And then we just wanted to have, I think it's probably really worthwhile. We didn't know about the meeting that you guys were having with the police. Whether after you guys have that meeting, whether you think it's worth an open discussion at the next board meeting. Quite honest, I'm really curious to what they're gonna say to you guys. If they have a plan, what that might be. Or if you wanna just have a general conversation about safety, crime, what have you right now.
Couple questions. Concerns. One, I think it's very different than it was in 2021. 2021, it was very much driven by drug addiction, mental health. It was people sneaking around when nobody's looking, entering a car that wasn't locked, or if someone didn't lock the back of their truck, they would go in. It is very different now. It is. I pay $75,000 for security, and we're getting people with two guys with crowbars jacking open the back of a truck and stealing stuff out of it as soon as they see security go around the corner. So like, they're far more targeting now. This isn't just the bike issue that we had a few years ago. It's very
And
much
they're
more
coming
targeted.
with vehicles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're coming prepared.
Coming with vehicles emptying out in the driveway.
Some of them are coming with fobs that can open any car without a crowbar. We were watching it like 2 weeks ago, this guy just going tick, 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 and some of them actually will register with certain vehicles, and they can just open up the door and take whatever they.
Jesus.
Well, which is what we saw in Toronto with car thefts and things. So it's just escalated. But I think something that the community needs to say out loud, if it's, hopefully it's not true, but I don't have one conversation with any of my circle who don't say, well, this is all because Toronto sends all their drug addicts up here on a one-way ticket on a bus. And I don't know how that story got started, but I think the city needs to squash that and make sure that they realize that's not the city of Toronto, because I dug in a little, and funny enough, people in Sudbury said the same thing. And then I dug a little more and I talked to the GM at the Delta in London, and he said, oh, you know, we hear that Toronto just sends all their drug addicts and homeless people to London. So I think it's an easy way out, but the city should kind of make a statement about that. That's not where it's coming from. And that this is far more organized than when Mr. Stevenson was the chief and we were meeting about how to stop the bike theft, because this is far more than the bike theft.
Yeah,
If anything, my bike thefts are down this year.
That's probably all the due diligence on your part, though. Same with mine. Like, we walk the parking lot. If there's a bike there, we stand there. We call the front desk and say, can you ask these people to come up and get their bikes? Because if they don't come right now, they'll be gone by the time I get inside.
yeah.
You know, so we have lockups for them and everything. But it's definitely the more organized of the organized.
Yeah.
Where Mr. Stevenson in the past said they're just selling that bike to Joe down the street to get enough money for the next hit. Where this is not what this is. They're coming with vehicles and they've got fobs, and they're, you know, one guy was moving from BC to Ottawa and he had everything he owned in the back of his truck, including 3 rifles and ammunition, all locked up properly, and it was all stolen. Well, it's a great image. Police came that time. They did come that time.
So the question at hand is, how does this impact tourism and what can, right? So, and we're not gonna solve it around the table today, but I think it's a worthy discussion because we know it exists everywhere, but what can Sault Ste. Marie do? And it weighs on my mind at night, like as from a tourism side, what can we do? Or how can we help as an industry to help curb this? And I don't have the answer, and I think this is more just the conversation at hand is when we get, because we get them, you must get them as reviews on it, like, so we get them, they send them to us too. It's like we're never gonna.
We'll get a 0 out of 10 just because they don't feel safe in our city.
Exactly.
They don't care that they've had a great experience in the hotel. They're scared to leave it.
So what and I'm not saying that we have the answer to this or that there is but what's the impact of that? What's
They
the
won't do
impact?
that.
And
And they won't, in the Marriott world, it's all about intent to recommend. That's the driving score for us in our building.
Yeah.
Intent to recommend, and they will not recommend. And that has long-term impact. The key is city council from us, police from us. Everybody needs to hear from us the impact it's having on our businesses, on our people. Not to mention, you know, like I'm watching the Jays game last night and lights go by. I have no street lights in my street in the P patch. So lights go by and they stop, and I'm like, oh. And I have to get up and go look just to make sure they're not stealing my Cadillac, right? Because that's the mindset we have now. And I don't think they had that here 15 years ago, did they?
so as a board, and we'll just give some thought, but then as a board, what can be done? Like, is there something that the board can do? Representing the industry?
The mayor.
I think the common voice. Right, you know, the one that got thrown back at me the other day was, well, of course, you're not gonna tell people about this because it's bad for the city. It's bad for business.
That's kind of the line we walk at checking it, I guess, right?
It is.
Is it safe to park in your lot? Yeah.
Depends what kind of car do you have.
You know, again, we have those conversations with guests. It's on our registration card not to leave valuables, and
Yeah.
that we have lockup for bicycles, and if they have other things, we'll support them in locking things up. But I think it's finding that common voice that we can all pull from of what we want that message to be.
So to your point, when we first put the MAT tax in place, before that, we had a DMF. And it was very controversial, so we got together with the help, I think, of even legal, and we wrote something that on a piece of paper, on a plaque, that every hotel could share with every guest, so that they understood that the DMF was not optional for them.
Yeah.
We chose to charge you. You have to pay it. But we needed a common voice, so we put that together. So that helps from a guest perspective, but it's also from a city council, police perspective, the common voice of the impact this is having on our associates and our, you know, my owner probably wouldn't buy another hotel in town if he's spending over $100,000 of his money, because that's directly off the bottom line, to protect it and still it not be safe.
Yeah, right, which has significant impact on the growth of our industry.
Of course it does.
So how do we quantify that? And these are the things to think about, right? As a collective voice, how does that get quantified and as a board, you're the representation of the tourism industry. So think about what can be done. That's because it's becoming more and more, and I don't think we're gonna see it dip. I think we're gonna see it get worse before it gets better.
Do we? Like, I know there's lots of speculation of where it's coming from, what the drivers are. But has anybody done a comprehensive study of why we're seeing this and what are the underlying causes and drivers? And if there isn't, is that something we could assist with?
I think that's a great question to bring up.
Yeah,
The only city that I traveled to in the last 2 years, because we drive east and we stay in different places every time, the only city we stay in that we see none of this is Petawawa. And I'm not
Especially a
joking.
military base. That's what you're saying.
None of it. Don't know if it's a little remote or if they just do things differently in Petawawa, but every other town and city that we stay in has exactly the same things happen.
I stayed there too, you're right. Oh, you see that?
I left my golf clubs in the back. It's the only, the rest I take them in.
Wouldn't it be great that people say the only place that I've been to is Sault Ste. Marie?
Mhm.
That, like, right?
Maybe we need a larger military base.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
Is the mayor? Is this on the radar of our mayor? Does he understand the impact it's having on businesses? And we have to tell our guests and explain to them why when they walk down Queen Street, that the doors in all the stores are locked. They're open for business, but the doors are locked. And then how do you, and then, you
Yeah.
know,
How do you keep that positive?
Mhm.
Because it's negative the whole way around, right?
I believe it is, you know, it's certainly the effort that they're putting in terms of funding for the ambassador programs, the additional downtown security. Smart hub, like all of these tie back to safety, right, and the concerns that we're seeing, so yeah. You know, there's definitely an understanding there.
yeah, just no results, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Or negative results.
I think there's just like, I don't know, it's really tough because it doesn't seem to be any recourse for anyone that wants to do anything. You know, if they are caught, at least they will get a court date and probably never show up until the next time to get caught. And that's really hard to navigate.
Yeah, and that's a bit of political spin too, because it's not quite that straightforward.
Okay.
You know, but Mr. Stevenson used that as leverage, and well, you saw it in his campaign as well. And if you dig a little deeper, my wife works at a law firm and her boss's brother's a crown prosecutor, and it's not quite that straightforward,
Okay.
but it's very much spun to make it look like it's not the police's fault. But they're doing their job.
Right.
Mhm.
So maybe we can reconnect at the next meeting following the meeting that you have with the police service. We'll just kind of keep it as an item to revisit
Or a separate meeting to just
or
discuss
separate meeting.
what that common voice is.
Wasn't it the Memorial Cup site day? There was
Oh, yeah.
like a huge incident.
Attempted murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
As
we
they
were
were
by,
walking.
yeah.
Property.
And how ironic that we lost out to
So,
Saginaw.
Right.
Just saying.
But it does impact, like, just aside from the impact at, hotels, restaurants, attractions. It impacts events tremendously. We've had, feedback from events that have selected our community that are reconsidering what that looks like. When they have participants that have to drive home with no windows in their car because it happens on a Sunday. And their car windows are smashed out and there's nobody to fix them.
Yeah.
They've got a 9-hour drive home with 3 kids in the car.
Yep.
Any parent can appreciate that nightmare.
Yeah.
Right, so it's impacting our ability to host, and I personally don't accept that because it's everywhere that that's the answer. I think we need to be the exception to the rule. And what can we do to try and get?
These experiences that people are having are definitely not something they brush off. They make it public. They tell everybody and they put it everywhere. Facebook, social, on their review sites, like,
Cause it's life altering.
And it's a violation, like you walk away
really
feeling
are.
violated by it.
Mhm.
And I mean, the thefts were 1 degree, but the window smashing is a whole other
Mhm.
level. Because like you said, you don't have recourse. It's a Sunday or a long weekend and
I know nobody's gonna feel sorry for you or me or you, having to have these conversations with guests. But for me, I'm a really emotional person and empathetic, and it's very challenging to have to continue to do it over and over again.
And say, no, I can't compensate you.
Exactly.
Because.
It's part of
it
your
would
own
be-
risk.
I think
Well,
it would-
and I mean, it's one thing from our level, but our associates and our team members at the, on the front line are experiencing it, and I think that that's somewhere where like a common voice and how they can be responding to it, because they feel caught out and people are upset and it transfers to them before it gets to us.
Or worse, they're actually like, oh, you too, huh? Oh,
Right.
you're the third one today.
Oh.
You know, you get.
Yeah.
Cause you get people that they just become, it's like their key
Get
didn't
numb
work in their
to it,
room.
right?
Oh, well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So maybe somebody.
Okay, we'll have a follow-up discussion.
Okay, item 7A, annual events under the Tourism Development Fund.
Since we didn't have a lot on the agenda today, I filled it with conversation pieces.
Okay.
Because we don't often have time to just. A lot of our meetings are let's get through these pieces and we don't really have time as a group to talk about things or. Rely on the expertise around the table. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk about tourism development fund and support within that fund. Specifically around the annual events. So events that we know either attract some, or we want to get more tourists involved in them. What does that look like so that I want to try and build out a plan so that I'm not coming back every year and saying, we have this event, it's year 4, we're looking for support. And we have to go through the whole thing all over again. We all know what the event's like. Is there, and I don't, again, this is a conversation piece, and Jeff, I know you're up there. If you have anything to say, chime in. But it's a conversation point around how can we streamline this process and not exclude these events, because I personally believe that they have a place, within the portfolio. But what can we do to try and streamline the process where we can still contribute to supporting these events? We've got staff working on them. We think there's potential. And what does that look like? I know that it's a starter of a conversation. We all know there's probably, I printed out the TDF projects that we've been working on. There's probably 6 or 8 of them every year that we revisit. And looking for some direction as to what the board would like to see our involvement with these events and how we can best support them.
It's also not like there's not a lot of PDF apps beating down the door either, right? Like you bring us,
So
there's not a lot of stuff that we aren't saying yes to. So it's just this repeat revolving door of the same events that are happening and not growing. That since we don't have any other things to approve, like next year, we'll have to really consider whether we're gonna give you that money again. And we
Yeah.
never do, because there's never anything to come take its place.
But. Even independent of that, so, yeah, that is the case, like, and I think we're trying to do a better job, we're sitting at over $700,000 in TDF.
Yeah, I mean, we've got
Right,
the money.
like, so we need to get that money out, like that, to support tourism activities. But we are gonna have regular, we'll pick on the Skeeter Slam OCA, mountain bike race, right? that could come here in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Right? We saw with about 50 more racers this year, which is actually a pretty substantial bump for, you know, it was below 200 to I think over 220 this year. But let's say it flatlined at 300 or 200, you know, but it's an event that we want.
Is it worth continuing to fund? Yes, I mean, I'm not trying to nickel and dime $700,000, right? I'd like to see these things continue as well.
When they-
Maybe like the process is identifying which ones we're gonna keep.
Well, that's where I wanna try and get to, is how do we streamline this?
Wouldn't we be better off to say to them, if that's what they're gonna try and do into forever, give us a 3-year program or a 4-year program and approve it.
One time.
Yeah, I think we need to go back to our strat plan. Start with, if it fits in our strat plan, then we should be saying yes at some level.
Mhm.
Second, I think we should assign more points if it's coming in our off season. It should automatically be worth more,
It is in the evaluation.
significantly more. Third, sometimes, and I'm very guilty of it, let's say that event didn't grow for 2 years, and I'm like, well, what are they doing to make it grow? Sometimes you have to step back and say, but if that's an event that gives our community a reputation that then could spin off to another event, then it's worth a 5-year commitment. We would want them to give us a 5-year plan or something, but it's worth a 5-year commitment because it could lead to this event or a winter mountain bike event or something to that effect, right? So sometimes we have to, it's not really that tedious. We just make it tedious for you because we keep asking you the same question. But so really,
Slide on the agenda.
Like, what are marketing events,
I
basically,
think
right?
the
Where we're gonna
exposure level
invest-
of it
Yeah,
as well. So what kind of exposure level are we getting on this? Is it driving exposure into areas like, you know, the Marquettes and the this and that are then bringing people here aside from the events as well?
I'll add to that too, that there's a layer of exposure in different realms, right? Like cultural events, they don't necessarily attract a lot of people necessarily, but they give you great reputational value when it comes to marketing. To be able to say we have events that are, you know, attracting sports groups, we have events that are, you know, providing cultural experiences, we have events that are, you know, ceremonial, there's all these different things, right? There's a handful of events, and then, you know, I don't want to get into naming which ones they are, where they repeat every year. They're great community events. You know, they give us great marketing material. You get pictures of people having a good time. Like, it gives us a lot. Are they driving a lot of tourists? Not necessarily, but are they giving the tourists that are here that weekend something really great to do? Yes, they are. And what does that look like? I went through the TDF, so we're averaging anywhere between 25 and 35 TDFs a year. To give you an idea of the process for each TDF, just so that everybody's aware, they come to us, we work with them for like a pretty good amount of time before we bring that application to the board. Once the board approves it, we have to then go back, we write the report to council, then we go to council, have to have council review it and approve it, then it comes back, and then we have to do a series of agreements, we meet with them again, get the agreements done, and then it comes back, and then we hold their hand along the way to support the event. And then we do the evaluation after the event. There's a lot of time invested in each one of these events. And we're doing it on rinse and repeat. Thank you, I'm trying. No, it's rinse and repeat. So how can we better support them so that our time is not caught up in paperwork? It's actually doing the work that we wanted to support them.
it's such a fine line. Because the money comes from us.
Yep.
Putting heads in beds, you helping us, our heads in beds, so
Yeah.
it's really hard to look at a rib fest and say, well, that puts heads in beds. But understanding, does it help our community look like a cool place to go visit? Of course it does. So it's really hard to find that line. Yeah, the Italian Fest happens right outside my hotel, and it doesn't bring people to the community, but does it make the downtown and the waterfront kind of a cool hip place for the day? Yeah, kind of does. So do you get something from that? Is there residual positive impact? Yes, but can you put a dollar amount to that? No. And with all the work that we didn't realize how much work you guys did for each one, that is it worth it for all that work?
I would argue that it is. Like I'm
Then
not.
stop whining about it.
I know.
Yeah.
Kevin.
I'm just totally.
Everyone stand up. Wait a second. No, stand up. No, I would argue that it is, and I will fight for these events because I think they are worthwhile. And I believe that if we're bringing an event to you, and I respect the fact that everybody has always been supportive. If we're bringing an event, it's usually because we see some value in it, right? Of some kind, and we explain it, and the board endorses it, and I think that process works really well. I think that isn't the issue. I think the issue is and I think you were on something. These events where we've identified them as, maybe stay within a box. They're not necessarily going to be the ones that blow up and attract thousands of people, but they do have a role and a place. And in our strat plan, we talk a lot about downtown activation. And if we were to pick on the Italian Festival, that would be a perfect example of one
100%.
where it does fit within our strat plan. But there's a bit of a square peg round hole, and that it's not necessarily putting a lot of tourists in our hotels, but it's fitting in our strat plan, so it has place, but what does that look like? And can we grow it? And that's up to us to try and dig into, is there a way that we can bring more people here for that?
So if you did the 3 or 4 year plan, you've got some free hours to help them.
Well, and then we have something to evaluate at the end and say,
Yeah.
okay, we
Well,
put
yes.
this in place and now we're looking at it in a different lens.
Yes.
I feel like there's an answer in there somewhere.
I do too.
No, you have it. You just want us to come up with it, but you already know.
I think there again too, some of these events that we've supported year after year, a lot of it, the idea is that in the beginning, we know that, a new homegrown event is going to take a good 3 years to really get its footing.
5 years.
5 to be like getting there. But I think some of the problem is that, we in the beginning support heavier, intending to hopefully be able to reduce what some of that commitment is. And what we've seen from some of them is that they come back looking for more money for the years. There again too.
So yeah, I mean, I think the longer term plan has the potential to resolve a lot of these issues. The one question that I wanted to throw out is, does the board see value in promoting tourism through St. Marie? Tourism through St. Marie, the entity,
Oh.
like,
Yes.
just hear me out.
As a brand.
As a brand, as an organization, because even if you're contributing, let's say we've got an event that's year over year in perpetuity, we're at year 15. Do you want your logo and your material saying tourism Sault Ste. Marie at these events? Does it matter?
To the operator of the event?
Do you want the community at large, visitors, locals, to be seeing Tourism Sault Ste. Marie's logo and know that it is an organization that's supporting these events? Like, does that matter to you?
It does.
Yeah.
It does,
Absolutely.
So then at some point, that's also a factor in terms of
Absolutely.
some form of contribution even to these events.
Because they go to the website and then there's an opportunity, they find a rabbit hole and all the other options that they have. So for sure, yeah.
On a whole bunch of levels, it's important.
Yeah,
But I think it shows that this community is focused on it. It shows that they've put effort into it. It shows that they're collecting a mat tax and it's being used properly, not just collected like the old DMF in Niagara Falls. So, so I think all those reasons are important. And I think over time, it creates brand awareness. It gets everybody comfortable. It certainly supports the city and city council being in a positive way to say, this is what tourism is doing in our community. And tourism is the most non-controversial revenue stream that a government could ever have. We're bringing people from outside the community
So
to spend money in our community.
So to like just in its simplest terms, not getting the specifics of any particular project. So that implies that there is a desire to fund projects long term. Now, what we need to do, and I think the messaging that I've gleaned from this conversation is on the ones that we know are going to be long term and we start building out these multi-year funding agreements, we look at the metrics, those that we feel align really well with the strat plan. You know, those requests might be bigger, also based on their growth trajectory.
Nothing would change as far as you wouldn't be then advancing them money for
No,
3
they
years.
still have
They
to
still
go
have to go through the same process each year,
You could do it all.
and then they get reimbursed. Yeah,
And we've done it before for another project where we gave X amount year one, X amount year two, but we awarded it all at once, right?
right.
So then we could look at, and then if you don't spend it, you don't spend it, but you know. Our expectation is, much like you'd be doing a final report, you'll come back and report on those metrics. Whether or not we have the flexibility to say, you know, we're gonna ramp up, ramp down. That remains to be seen, but it's something that Alana and I can dig into.
Yeah, I think the piece to remember here is everything is repaid, so any expenses would be repaid. They would have to pay them out first to be able to claim them, and there's a very stringent process, I can tell you. Some people know it firsthand around how we go through, and every claim that comes in, I review all the banking documents for every expenditure. And I have to find a proof of payment and the invoice and the banking, and so it's legit. So,
And I don't think anybody's questioning.
no, and so that process is if it's approved, we would go through that same process every year just to reclaim that total amount.
So I think we just need to come up with, if it's a first year event that's coming to us, I don't think we automatically say, here's money for 5 years.
No.
But if they're coming for year 3, we've seen, even if not a lot of growth, but we've seen it's a good, whether it's Head and Bed or just a really good, like Italian Festival is
It's
a good
fit.
fit, then we go to them and say, okay, we'd like to see your plan for the next 5 years, and based on that, we'll be prepared to give you funding every year for these 5 years. And does that reduce the workload and admin for you guys? It should.
It should, and to be honest, it probably came out wrong. The workload's not the issue.
I know that.
It's-
I was just being.
Thank you for that. I think with events, to have them start and stop every year is not helping them. So let's do this application, let's get through this process, and then we start it all over again, and you're just continually coming back to, you know, the beginning, that's not helping them push towards longevity or push towards growth. And I think that there's an onus on our part to try and support them the best we can. And one of the ways that we could do that is to give some longer term commitment to the ones that we think have value.
I can speak firsthand of that.
Mhm.
Yes, it's a process to every year saying, what am I going to get anything? If we were able to say, okay, here's my event, here's my plan. Can you fund me for 5 years? Every year, I have to spend the money first, get reimbursed. I get X amount each year. Does it only have to get approved by council once then?
Yeah,
So that's a big, that's a big load off of everybody.
And then they know, and they can plan year 2 because they
For sure.
know what's there.
They know that they've got $5,000 there for marketing.
It's kind of what we've been talking about for the last years. These people keep coming back. We just have to get over the fact that maybe they're not gonna grow like we tell, but if they've got a plan, then it's okay.
And in your agreement, it's gonna have, at the end of year 1, it's gonna say, okay, what's the results? And you're gonna say, yeah, we're ready to continue into year 2.
We would have to bring this, I'm sure there's
It's automatic.
process that we would have to go through to figure this out, but I think it's doable.
I think there's
And there's an
merit to it.
ability to amend that, right? Let's say I'm doing an event and it's growing and I want to bring in a rock concert to couple with it. Then we can amend that, get approval, or you can have a bracket, 5 to 10,000 per year. You know, ordering on the small amount, and if you grow, then we have the ability to move that forward. I think that's a great idea.
I think it will reshape the way we think about these applications. And anybody that runs events, the last thing you want to do is pack it up and then have to start all over again every year. You try and figure it out.
And it's like budgeting, right? It's easier to lease a vehicle, so you can budget for it, than having to purchase a vehicle and then say, oh, what are the repairs going to be? What's the depreciation? When am I going to buy a new one? This is the expense that goes into into our books. It's easy.
No, I just, we've never had an opportunity to talk about it as a group, and I just thought today we didn't have a full agenda. It was a good chance to have these conversations.
Can you go back and look at the strategic plan and, because the fund is growing.
Yeah.
So is there some big projects in our strategic plan that we need to try and get something out there to say, you know, we've got this pot of money to help with a big project? I just throw that out there.
Yeah, it actually crossed my mind earlier this week. I started writing up a press release, just doing a call out for product development applications.
What if, as a group, we think of things that we believe would help? You know, I know that there's chatter out there about a shuttle to go to Searchmont. And, you know, would that bring more people here on a Porter Escapes package where they stay at the hotel? They have a shuttle to take them to the ski hill. Is that a good experience? Like, do we engage those conversations and then say, hey, is anybody interested in doing this, or are we overstepping at that point?
I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's your role as, you know, representing the industry to try and help engage those conversations. And I did have that conversation.
Our union rep today was in doing meetings in Jim. He thought that that's what we do here. He thought that we come up with these ideas and put them into place ourselves and fund. I was like, no.
No.
That's, no.
But you know, if we had a meeting near the end of the year and we brought out the strat plan and we said, okay, well, what do we think as the experts? Because we've been asked to be experts by sitting on a board, we think would drive tourism next year that we don't have. And, you know, a shuttle for Searchmont's just an example, you know. Well, we think that would be good. Well, let's vet it. Is it worthy of a next step discussion? Sure. And then go through it and have a bit of, maybe invite a few different people to the group.
Yeah. And our agendas have always been, you know, filled with the other business, but having those types of standing items or revisiting those, I think would be a great idea. Talking to us about just input around where the gaps may be in product development, and using the expertise around the table to try and help come up with some ideas for solutions.
I mean, we've done it a couple times. Earlier boards was having brainstorming session. I think we kind of did that with our strat plan, but. 2023.
And we'll use TDF funds, right? So they'll be looking to call out for
Yeah,
winter product or whatever it might be.
Well, and I think the product is where we have seen a lot of the growth, right? We see a lot through conferences, special events and those kind of things, the sporting organizations, but. I mean, a lot of the actual product development. But I think that there's a lot more that goes behind product development as well. We know that there's been a lot of product development that we've also turned down. For funding because, you know, we didn't feel that there was enough things in place.
yeah, I think there's some. The larger scale community project development. Or whether it's Tony's site, whether it's obviously the waterfront for trails. Those take years, so it's like where we're not seeing is any of kind of new tourism product development. I mean, we've had like Walk on the Trees and a couple of others, but it's been pretty.
I should say, as part of our update, I'll go back. We did a site visit to Hiawatha. Remember Walk Among the Trees in the Medicine Garden, the Three Sisters Garden? It is up and running and beautiful. Charles and I had the chance to go down and visit it and have a tour last week. I think it was week before. If you're up that way, take a walk through. It's beautiful. He did a really good job.
Or book a tour.
Or book a tour was walk.
There you go.
It
Staff
was-
meeting, walking staff meeting.
Yeah, it was. He did it. They did a both. Mario and Cheyenne. They did a very good job. Well done. Good attempt.
Should note our boardwalk is now done. Did you update from last week? Both the boardwalk, Travis?
Yep.
At Kinsman Park? Yeah, the steel
Yep.
boardwalk complete.
Well done.
Yeah. And yeah, so NHOFC is very happy and.
How
wanted
far
another
out do you go
project
now?
with us,
Great.
Yeah.
Good.
right up the falls,
We're very top.
yeah, to where the wooden ones were before.
Awesome. Did we help support that? Really good.
You did?
Yeah.
Yep,
What year was that?
that was about 4 years ago, the initial, no, 3 years ago, the initial project of the first
Oh,
one.
there it is. 2023.
We should actually organize. Like a shuttle. And drive everybody around to the projects that we have funded.
When that be?
And go look at the
I
impact that
take
we've
that
had.
double decker bus, there's never anybody on that.
We'll get some four-wheel,
That was the shock.
yeah, four-wheel drive put on it, get out to the trails. and-
But even to do that and videotape it
Yeah,
Yeah.
and have it to say, this is what the tourism.
yeah, actually.
Cause some of them
that's
are
a great
doing well,
idea.
like I'm going through, I printed them all out just for the conversation today, this is every year for the TDF, so. In 2022. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 product development ones, the plaza, we had the tour boat. The film and television position, Forest the Canoe, Hogan's Homestead, and the art gallery. And then we have the Voyager Trail Association. Curling Classic streaming upgrades, Kinsman Park boardwalk upgrades.
Maybe we could get a little video and then that'll help attract more TDF.
Boats and Tomica, like there's some really good ones on here. We could all go for a swim and use the backstroke system at the pool. Which has now attracted more, yeah,
You're trying to
so,
crown board members?
right? You like jackets? We can take a fat bike groomer for a ride.
Bit of direction there.
Anything else there? Anything back from you with regards to thoughts that way?
Thank you.
I think it's good, okay. So we just have the resolution today, with regards to the waterfront design. And that is circling back on the agreement for the funding to correct?
Yeah.
Phase one, okay. So this resolution reads, be it resolved that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors authorize Chair of the Board to enter into a contractual agreement with the City of Sault Ste. Marie for the sum of $802,100 to execute the detailed design of phase 1 and Civic Center waterfront plan. Do I have a mover for this motion? Kevin, and a seconder? Richard? And all in favor? And that one carries. Okay. Next meeting is October 21st. Did anyone have anything else they wanted to add? Say, thank you for the great conversation today.
Well, they're friends.
Yeah.
Nice. Is he still my friend? Should I meet you in the parking lot after?
All right.
Yeah,
Call for adjourn. Nick,
You're right.
You got your vehicle, maybe.
Maybe.
Lawrence, second.
Yep.
Adjourned, and we're out. Thanks for your time today, everyone.
Thank you, that was
Informative.
What's
Make
that?
sure that we're,
It was good.
Oh, well,
We
funny you
don't-
should say that. I talked to them last
that
week
we're.
and
Oh,
We just don't have enough of those
I-
conversations live.
Yeah.
no, we don't.